Good afternoon, Mech Warriors, Mech Techs, and Nobles in hiding. It is Thursday, the 2nd of July, and we are back. Let's slide ourselves over to IntelliJ. Shazam. How is everybody this fine, sunny morning? Far too sunny, if you ask me. Stepping outside is like stepping into a cockpit of an energy boat. Real damn warm. Seeker 10,000's offering some really cool suggestions. They were suggesting about adding civilians to urban maps. I mean, that'd be very, very cool. It's not something we can really do right now, but I would absolutely encourage them to write an RFE, a request for enhancement, because that's something I'd love to see in the game. They also suggest that more economic simulation aspects could be really cool. That, I would need specifics there. I would need specifics, but I am always looking for ways to nerf player income. I'm pretty notorious for that, actually. But yeah, so for once, I'm actually pretty organized today. So I was up on time. I remembered the actual time we start. And so I was prepared. I wasn't doing like last minute stuff that completely throws me off because I forget I need to eat. Yeah, no, so today's been really, really well. But I do have to apologize to you all. So on Tuesday, I did a whoopsie-doodle and accidentally ended the stream an hour early. I was very, very tired and I forgot time zones existed. So I do apologize for stealing an hour of your IllianiDev stream. But I ended up just taking the evening off and just chilling. And I ended up, I straight up ended up passing out. I apparently was really, really tired and didn't wake up until like 11:30 the next day, which is just a bit later than my usual wake up time. So, but I think the rest did me good. I feel a lot better. I do think a lot of it was fatigue from moving and all the stress around that. Radar says they're a bit under the weather today, still trying to flush his crap with some spicy food and chili. Definitely make sure you're drinking enough water as well. Water will help you flush your system. And Rastrasi says, on the other hand, if I'm stepping into the cockpit of an energy boat, I have lasers. This is true. So what have I done between now and Tuesday? Well, at a great cost to my soul. at a great cost to my soul. I went through the accountant class, and me and Psycho Monkey went through and just gutted our accountant class so that it would be a bit more usable, not just for the mission overhaul, but also for multi-locational forces. So this accounting class is now a lot more usable. So today we're going to be going through and continuing our quest to completely rewrite everything to do with contracts, and we're turning our attention to contract pay. Radar said they just dropped a stinger down six stories onto its ass. Fan-fiddly-tastic. But yeah, so we're on contract pay. So I've got my copy. Campaign operations. I believe this is the 5th printing. It should be at least. Let me double check. I can't see where it tells me. It's not important. It's the right cover at least, so it's gonna be close enough. And then what we're going to be doing today is we're just going to be going through the process of setting up contract pay. And then we are going to start taking a look at renegotiating terms. Seeker 10,000 suggests like economic stuff, like simulating actual ships traveling around, collecting resources and taking them to factories on which have been produced. That it would be very, very cool. But that would add a lot of computational tracking to a Java app that is already straining against a very loose belt. I don't know that we would have the RAM to be able to do all that, but it does get closer to my dream. Now, I've mentioned my dream a couple of times now, but my dream with MekHQ is I want it to be so that we simulate the galaxy better. I want to I want to have each player have a dynamic galaxy so that every experience is unique and different, rather than just following the canonical timeline. But let's have a look. So the base pay for a mission, so we're on page 41 of campaign operations. Seeker 10,000 says you want to make BattleTech Dwarf Fortress. I kind of do, yeah. Because I've said this many times now. I believe that MekHQ has the same potential to be a storytelling vehicle as RimWorld and Dwarf Fortress. I just don't think we historically have taken advantage of that potential as much as we could. And so my focus here is kind of like the emergent narrative dev, is that I'm really focused on helping MekHQ give you good stories. Hey Hannah, glad you could join us. So yeah, let's have a look. So again, we're on page 41 of campaign operations, and it says base pay right down in the bottom left. The base pay for a mission is 75% of 1 month of the force's peacetime operating cost, plus 5% of the total cost of combat units in the force that are not large spacecraft. Okay, so that tells us what we need to do to start off with. So, public. Actually, let's make this private, maybe. So, private, void for now. Calculate base pay. And in calculate base pay, we're going to want to have calculate peacetime operating costs. And we're also going to want to calculate, what are we looking for? Total that cost. Total cost of combat units. So we can just hover over these and hit create method. Seeker 10,000 says, I think it's already surpassed the RimWorld. I'm not sure about that. I think there's still a lot more that we can do, and there's a lot more we plan to do. Wait until you see what I'm planning to do with the advanced character builder. I think that's going to make a lot of difference. And I think once we have Greg fully online, that's going to be a very big powerhouse for narrative, for emergent narrative. So we know that total cost of combat units will come last. I don't really care about that. Calculate peacetime operating costs. So let's go over to accountant. Let's have a look at peacetime. What do we need to feed into the accountant to get the peacetime operating costs? So this is now a static method. It wasn't previously. And it's going to return a money object. Money, peacetime operating costs. Radar says it's getting there. It absolutely is. So accountant. So this is what I was doing yesterday, and to a lesser extent the day before. So we're going to need formations. We're also going to need a hangar. I'm not entirely sure why it's got this weird spacing here. In fact, I can just copy these across. Shazaml. Formations, hangar, campaign operations, is clan, today, temp Aztecs, temp medics, temp crew map, and include salaries. So that's going to give us our peacetime operating costs. But what does include salaries actually mean? So we can have a look here, and this is a non-static method that's using campaign. So where are we calling this? Oh, okay. Regarding the comment about collecting stuff, I think one day I'd like to see the Industry Tycoon's Handbook implemented. It's unofficial. I believe Psycho Monkey's looking at that, and there's a lot of divergence between that and campaign operations that makes it a tad difficult to do. Does peacetime operating costs include salaries? Let's go back and find out. So now I'm scrolling back to a prior page where we're calculating peacetime operating costs. It does include salaries. Okay, so back to 41. So that means we don't need to have a Boolean to include salaries because we're always going to include salaries. There we go. So that gives us our peacetime operating costs very easily. We now need to get the total cost of combat units. Do I have something in Accountant that will do that? Let's find out. And we actually have a method here, get contract base. Interesting. Total equipment value? That seems right. But what are we looking at for, what have we got here? Get contract base. Ah. Interesting, okay. Okay, so that's a very hard-coded value. Okay, let us, rather than just living in Accountant, let's actually... No, we can leave it in Accountant, it's fine. So in this case, we actually have get contract basis already handled by Accountant, which makes my life significantly easier. Ooh, wrong one. There we go. Campaign options, campaign faction, Pudai, hangar, salary level personnel, temporary Aztecs, temporary medics. Oh, that's right. There we go. Now here's the thing. How is it? Okay, so it's got a fixed 5% multiplier. That's not 5%. That's 50%. Oh, I see. No, I see. Yeah, this isn't right. So what we're doing here is we're smooshing the yeah, no, this calculation isn't right here. Yeah, this actually explains a lot. We're giving people significantly more money than they should have. So what we need to do is we need to modify this ever so slightly. Radar asks, how the hell did I figure out 445 more call signs? I was doing some research and found a database of real-life military call signs and spent the past 3 or so days just trawling through that and taking inspiration. Radar says they wish they found that. Yeah, no, I've gotten very, very good at finding call signs. Okay, so contract base really needs to be split into private money, get base contract, no, get peacetime operating costs. So that's the first one, isn't it? Costs. for base contract. No. We're not going to faff around in accountant, but we are going to go back to essentially what we were doing originally. So we're getting the peacetime operating costs, and then we also need to get combat units. So get contract base is actually going to be helpful here, so I want to see how it's being done. And we're going to deprecate this. Deprecated since. I think it's for removal false for now, at least. So technically, for removal equals false is the default value. I choose to always add it in because it means that it not being for removal is a deliberate choice as opposed to just forgetting the field. Just trying to check out what's going on here. What are we doing if we actually include salaries? Okay, we're just looking at the crew. That I can work with. And the alternate. Okay, so we need to pass in. We have two options here. We have alternate, which I'm going to just grab from here. So we're going to need campaign options. Probably going to need a bunch of this, honestly. We can just get rid of whatever we're not using. Helps if I would go to the right thing. There we go. So we're going to have a money. I'm going to call it force value. Money 0. Well, this can come later, actually. So this gives us our alternate force value. We then need to get accountant force value. Formations. Right, this is probably going to include basically the same thing. There we go. What do we classify as a combat role? Frontline maneuver or patrol? Okay, that makes sense. Double check this is all good. It's a combat role. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so that gives us our force value. Now we know for chemops that specifically it is 75. No, it is. Oh, it's 5%, but we actually allow the player to specify that. So we'll leave that as is. And then we're just going to return force value. We do have some values here that we don't need anymore. Oh, we needed one of those to doodles. So one of the reasons why we want to separate them like this is specifically so that we can test each method individually. We don't want to be in a situation where we're having to calculate the entirety of every calculation just so that we can calculate, or rather test it. So peacetime operating cost is going to get us that. So we have money object, which is peacetime operating cost. Calculate peacetime operating cost. No, not what I wanted there. Line completion, formations, and campaign operations is clan. I can see that here. Today, temp Aztecs, temp medics, temp crew map. That should be everything. Okay, so that gives us our peacetime operating cost, which we're now going to have it return a money object. We actually need to return peacetime operating costs multiplied by 0.75. Let's add a private final static double peacetime operating costs percentage. We'll pass that in instead of the magic double. And let's add some documentation here. We are looking at page 41 of Panels. Don't care about any of this stuff. We're going to delete it all as soon as it finishes. Go on, get on with it. Shoo shoo. Man, the AI is really going on today. Cam ops, page 41, fifth printing. I believe this is revised fifth printing. We'll just go for doing it for now, it's fine. Yeah, it's just first printing. Okay. So that gives us that. We then return the value. We then need to calculate money cost to combat units. And we don't need to factor in the percentiles there because CamOps already handles that. But we can add in a do we want the player to be able to specify each? I guess we kind of do because the player's going to expect that. I could have swore I had base payment multiplier. There we go. me just verify this. So we need to make these. So that's five. So this is 1. Okay, yeah, it's just 5. So 1, 5. Math is not my strong point. Because we're going to add these multipliers on top. So that is half of whatever we set this at. So that's easy enough. And this is a 5th. No. 20. There we go. So we don't need salary of eligible personnel because we'll fetch that elsewhere. We do need to know base payment multiplier. And we're going to pass that into here. Oh. Yeah, there we go. Make it a... This reads cleaner that way. Okay, so that's going to give us our peacetime operating costs, and it also gives us our total cost of combat units. And base pay is going to be peacetime operating costs plus total cost of combat units. 75% of 1 month of the force's peacetime operating cost plus 5% of the total cost of units. If players do not regularly engage in aerospace battles and endanger their large spacecraft, then the cost of the large spacecraft is not factored into base pay. I don't care about that. Okay, so that gives us our base pay. Very, very nice. Private. Final money. Peacetime. Operating costs. Let's just go ahead and make these class levels so we can easily access them outside of the method. Do we want a separate class to calculate base pay? What would be the gains in this? That's more. Let's slide it. Yeah, let's go for that. And then we're going to rename this to contract objective base. There we go, that's a little neater. Okay, so this gives us our base payment. What's next? Why am I even looking at the book? It literally got at the top of the class. So we now need transport payment. Contract, objective, transport We'll pay this cost pay for the sake of ease. And what are we working out here? When a force, so we're on page 43 now for anybody following at home. When a force does not have its own dropships and jump ships, employees customarily offer to reimburse the force for a certain percentage of the cost, which may represent the employer's loading its vessels or vessels the force leases of its own. When using the contract terms table, the percentages shown on the supplemental terms table reflect the total cost of using dropships and jump ships, for which the employer will compensate the force in payment. Okay, I see. In cases where the mercenary force does not have its own vessels and the employer does not offer any, both of these numbers are presented to the force in the initial contract offer and are generated on a single roll. Okay, so this is something we've actually already handled elsewhere. So then we have jump cost calculations. No, transport cost calculations. There we go. All right, so for our next trick, we're going to need to modify this so that it can accept any source rather than just being campaign. So let's go ahead and push our changes. And now we're going to need to switch over to a new branch. We're going to need to have a look at transport cost calculations and see if there's a way we can make this so that it accepts arbitrary values rather than just being campaign. Now, if I was smart and cool and sexy, we don't need to make any changes, but I know I was neither of those things, so... Oh my god. I might actually have been smart and sexy because this is looking good. The only things I have to ask are the hangar statistics and the cargo statistics. How are we using those? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to change cargo statistics, or I'll stop using cargo statistics. But we can just copy this over, because this is using campaign get warehouse. So this is returning hangar statistics, which is being used where? Nowhere. Cool. Okay, we're just going to create ourselves a new version of this, basically. That's going to create a... Getting rid of all this stuff that's not being used anymore. So we're going to pass in a spare parts. And we're also going to pass in a list of units. Hangar contents. So rather than using warehouse, we're just going to add in spare parts. And instead of using hangar, we're just going to get in hangar there. No. Let's not do that. That seems like a mistake. Instead, let's just edit this so it's actually doing what we need. So we're going to overload this. Says it's not being used. It most assuredly is. So we need collection, parts, spare parts, and we're going to need list unit hanger contents. Get cargo tonnage, and we are going to say campaign, get all units. Then we're going to return campaign, get spare, get all parts. And then we're going to return the value in transit and mothballed. And that's going to require us to update this as well. This isn't even used, so I don't care about that. We do need to pass this a little bit. Public static list part get spare parts, and this fundamentally becomes the same thing as get spare parts. Parts equal campaign fingers campaign no bugger off campaign get all parts spare parts equals warehouse get spare parts. I'm going to pass in parts. There we go. Okay, so we now have actually spare parts. Then we need to get our units. There we go, so that gives us the exact same, basically how it previously worked. I think this could be static, actually. It appears to be. Okay, so let's go ahead and find out what we just broke, because we definitely have broke some things. And then we're going to push this as a separate PR. Overhaul multi-locational forces. Okay, what do we break? What do we break? Campaign. Do we have get campaign? Oh no, we're in campaign. We can do it. So we're going to come back to this, because we're going to want to update this to better work for what we need. Okay, so that should mean that transport cost calculations is the only one still using the old system, which is exactly what we want, really. Seeker says, "Hey, it'd be cool if you're playing a pirate campaign, you could capture slaves and sell them, or a faction is like gay slavery." So you technically can. You can just ransom your prisoners, but I get that that's not really the same thing. Feel free to open up a PR for that. That's exactly something that we could look into for sure. Okay, so transport cost calculations. Calculate cost for each day. So first, let's have a look at how we're initializing class, because one of the things we need to do is we need to make this class not be so strongly tied to campaign. That's something we really need to do. Okay, so hangar contents, that's good. Cargo statistics. What are we using cargo statistics for? This is where we were at previously. So we're calculating get cargo tonnage. Okay. And get total cargo capacity. How are we calculating get total cargo capacity? We calling get hangar. So we can just do this by passing in hangar. And I strongly believe that this now becomes a static. And then we create public double get total cargo capacity. And there we go. So in transport cost calculations, rather than using cargo statistics, we can pass in cargo statistics, pass in a hangar. There we go. Okay, where else are we using cargo statistics? Let's have a look at for words only. So we're only using it in 7 places. Okay, so we're really not using it anywhere exciting. So let's go ahead and grab the static versions of these. And what are we needing to pass into the static? We need to pass in hanger content, so a collection of units. Spare parts. There we go. And total cargo capacity now needs a hanger. Can we make that just take in a collection of units instead? Not easily. Not easily. So that means that we need to actually pass in a hanger here. Hanger. So that goes into there. And we create units. Or hanger, get units. And then we pass in that into hanger contents. There we go. Okay. Where are we calling this? Up here. Okay, we're making a little progress each time. Found 2 arguments, but it provided none. What are we looking for here? We're looking for hanger and spare parts. Okie dokie. So that allows us to... We're no longer reliant on cargo statistics specifically, so we actually should be able to just remove cargo statistics now. Shazam. In fact, actually, what we can do, it was seeing if we're smart. If we're smart, we can actually do something. So how about we define hanger and spare parts at the class level? Would that work? Are we creating a new object each time we call this, or are we reusing it? That's actually quite important to know. Okay, we're creating a new object each time. Perfect. So in that case, we can just do this. So we're going to need to have, instead of hanger contents, we need to have a hanger. And we need to have spare parts. This hanger equals hanger, and this spare parts. Spare parts. We no longer have hanger contents. Although we can get hanger contents by just doing hanger get units. We'll update all these later. We do need to go ahead and create the class levels. So these are all going to be private, final, hanger, and private, final spec parts. It says spare parts might not be initialized. Because I spelled it wrong. Ugh. I do see that the questions in chat. I will grab a hold of them in just a second. So we are no longer using cargo statistics. So Seeker asks, how do pirates at the moment generate missions contracts compared to other factions? Because I think one of the big appeals of playing as a pirate would be operational freedom. So if you check your copy of campaign operations, you'll see that pirate contract generation is only slightly different. But basically, the long and short of it is that you're only going to get raid type contracts, and you're only getting... give me a second. You're only getting... you're not getting any support. You're just getting like 100% salvage. So you don't have to worry about splitting your salvage for anybody. But you're going to get no support whatsoever. You're very much on your own. And then how pirates campaigns, like how they generate reputation, stuff like that, is a bit different as well. It's a little bit more than I can really go into right here. But there are differences, is the long and short. Radar says, I find it funny that thanks to how auto award works, pirates can be awarded with medals for anti-piracy operations that they go against pirates. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's really funny. Okay, so we've got some more errors. Let's go and address those. Okay, so that gets us, we're no longer so tightly bound to cargo statistics. However, we also have hanger statistics. So next up, we're going to see what we can do to break the binds of hanger statistics. Okay, so hanger statistics we're just using to get hanger. That seems like a really crap way when we already have access to hanger here. But don't we have hanger contents? We do have hanger contents. There we go. So these can actually all just be replaced with hanger contents. Very good, very good. And if this is the only way that we're using hanger statistics, then we're going to be in a very, very good position. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of hanger statistics. Because we've already got hanger contents there. So do we even need hanger statistics at this point? The answer is no. Fantastic. Now, the next question is, where are we using campaign? Nowhere that matters. Perfect, perfect. Cannot find hanger statistics. That's because it doesn't exist anymore. So now what we've done is the transport calculations report is only it's gonna take in stuff, and we don't need to worry about it being bound to campaign anymore. Now there are some things that we're going to want to do, and for this we're actually going to call in support of Claude. Because I'm going to ask Claude to update the Java docs and also update our tests. Because we have a bunch of tests, and I really don't want to have to sit through and update a couple of thousand lines of tests. So give me a second to get Claude doing Claude things, and then I'll have a look at chat and we'll see if we can answer some questions. And if any of the questions are, what's my opinion on AI, I'd be more than happy to reply to that. Transport cost calculations has been updated. Update Java docs. Tests. Initial unbinding. Okay, so let's get Claude doing Claude things. Let's have a look at chat, see what's being said. So Seeker10000 says, are you familiar with the X-Pirates mod for the original XCOM? Because that's basically what I want from playing a pirate campaign. I'm actually not. I've never heard of that mod. And when you say original XCOM, do you mean the original remake or original? Because I will say that pirate campaigns right now are they're very much kind of like pirate flavored campaigns rather than being like the full-blooded pirate experience. Original. Okay, cool. Open XCOM. Cool. Yeah, no, I've never actually heard of that mod. Because one of the things that you're going to get from the contract overhaul is that we will be following the full rules for generating pirate contracts, because right now pirate contracts are essentially it's not strictly true, but essentially they're identical to normal mercenary contracts, with only the difference being the contract terms are slightly different and how faction standing is tracked is slightly different. Because prior to that being introduced, you literally could not play a pirate campaign because pirates would never generate contracts, which was kind of awkward. And so, yeah, the idea was just to get them working rather than trying to make them a full-blooded, what's the word, like experience. X-Pirates. Let's have a look. So I'm heading over to Safari. You might go into the Void briefly. Oh, you did go into the Void. Nice. So let's see if we can find out more about this. See, because the reason why you probably haven't heard about it is because it contains not safe for work. Now, fair enough. Here we go. Oh, I've got an article. Hannah says they're going to run. Come back later. Well, glad you could drop in. I'm not finding it like an easy explanation. So, if you'd like to tell me about X-Pirates, I would be interested. See how's Claude getting on. Claude's thinking. We can actually go back to IntelliJ. I suppose we should also run Javadoc to make sure we haven't just completely broken anything, which we probably have, but this should be relatively easy to fix. And anybody who's relatively new here isn't aware why I use the Javadoc test. It's basically it's one of our fastest tests that will still break if there's actually problems in the code. Seeker says, in X-Pirates, you basically control a group of female mutant pirates and find a bunch of equally zany factions. Well, that's fun. It's got a lot of manga influence. Okay. I only own one manga series. I'm not very educated when it comes to manga and things like anime and stuff like that. My partner is slowly educating me. Okay, get hanger. Get spare parts. Oh, interesting. Secret 10,000 says that I before say I mostly stayed away from programming required. Modding, so I learned how to program and how to code. I'm honestly having a lot of fun with. It did take me a little bit to get used to. Was in the vibe for JoJo. I found myself really enjoying it. I'm a really big fan of Beastars. I really like Beastars. When I say that I only own one manga, Beastars is that manga. No, I really liked the Netflix Beastars adaptation. I ended up going out and buying the manga so I could finish the story without having to wait for Netflix. Just commenting everything. If you are a subscriber to this channel, this wonderful experiment we're on, then you're actually going to get access to 2 new emotes. I'll post them in chat right now. We have the Clan Ghost Bear and Rasselhague Republic. So being a subscriber, even at the basic tier, like we're not I'm not wanting to gateway emotes. So yeah, if you subscribe, you'll get access to those funky emotes. So when you're watching a Scrotorious Bastards, you can rep with the free Rasselhague Republic icon. I put it in the channel title, hey, we got new emotes, and then completely forgot to tell you, hey, we got new emotes. But hey, we've got new emotes. It's all very exciting. Little by little, I am becoming a real streamer. I need to think of some obnoxious things that you guys can spam the screen so I can pretend to be surprised at every time it comes up. Like, oh, whoa, it's the whatever emote. I keep joking that I need to dye my hair blue. Maybe I should play some horror games so I can pretend to be scared. I don't think my dogs would like that. My dogs like hanging out with me in the bedroom when it's time to stream, and so they don't like it when I get too loud, like I sometimes do with the the Scritorious Bastard stream. I'm getting a little excited. See, it's a little Willy sporting the Clan Ghost Bear and Rasselhake Republic. But yeah, I am just trying to do things because like I genuinely appreciate all the support that you guys have given me. Like it just I'm never not surprised by it, and so I'm trying to find ways in which I can give back to you. And I know a couple of little emotes aren't exactly exciting, but it's a slow progress. Seeker says, to give you an idea of how insane X-Pirates gets, one of the main faction enemies is an alien worshipping, I will not be saying that on stream. Alien worshipping assholes, we'll say. Let's go with that. Because whilst I don't want to get into trouble. King Master's got to have the blue hair. I do. Maybe if I eventually get confident enough to put on a cam for you guys, maybe I'll put on a blue hair wig as well, so you guys can get the real streamer experience. I keep thinking that maybe I'll grab a helmet and like model myself up a Neuro helm. Looks like Claude's nearly finished. I recently subscribed to Claude Code, not because I have any interest whatsoever in vibe coding, like, no thank you, I'm good. But just because it allows me to generate tests so much quicker, and it significantly improves our test coverage, and I cannot stand writing unit tests. I really can't. And being able to have the AI, so I can do the real code, and then the AI just fires up some unit tests, and I quickly read through them and go, yeah, okay, that works, is significantly, like, it really makes my life a lot easier. And it means that I can stick to the stuff that I actually enjoy doing, like writing the code, designing the systems. 16 fans says they're going to go now. Well, I'm glad you could pop in, and I'm glad that yeah, you're having a good time, and I hope to see you again. So yeah, we're going to continue in a minute and get the next stage of the calculations done, and then we're going to move on to I believe contract length is next. Now, some of this stuff we can use existing code, which is nice. Unfortunately, not everything, and we need to be careful that when we're using existing code, that existing code is actually following the rules. Because if it's not, all we're doing is just replicating some of the stuff from ATB that we're literally trying to replace, which is not helpful. I am very excited for Scritorious Bastards tomorrow. We're nearly down to 3 years till the clan invasion. Oh, interesting. So Radar says, if I remember right, MechWarrior 4 used helicopter pilot helmets to stand in for Neuro helmet. I think they were the HGU 56s. So let's see. How much will a HGU 56 set me back? Set over back to Safari. Well, first of all, let's see what they look like. Oh yeah, no. That is the MechWarrior 5 helmet. How much will one set me back? I think maybe I might not get a $3,000 helmet. But maybe we can fix something up. Yeah, because I reckon if we grab ourselves like a helmet like this and then just add some greebles to it, we could probably get ourselves a Neuro helm. Especially if I rip out the ear pads so I can have my headphones underneath. Yeah, so it's perfect. That is the Gentex SPH4. Gentex SPH4 replica. The classic style is better anyway. Just get a trash can and cut out the rectangle from the side. Yes. Funny that I got Etsy. Hell, let's just have a look on Etsy for Neuro Helm. Let's see, let's see what comes up with this. Yeah, no, this is helmet for helicopter helmet. Flashlight mounts. Okay, it's like $500. Yeah, I reckon we could put some Scrotorius Bastard insignia on this. Yeah, no, I'm sort of assuming that I'm able to put away. Okay, we are back. I am terribly sorry for everybody. I did manage to find the culprit. So thank you to everybody who stuck around while we had those technical issues, but now we should be smooth, and I can already tell my computer's running much smoother. Basically, to give everybody some heads up, I have my video software recently got updated to have a desktop, a taskbar, toolbar thing, doesn't really matter what, and it adds it on whenever the video editing software launches or whenever I launch my computer. And I didn't realize it decided to add it to the launching of the computer, and when that is on, it basically eats up my entire CPU. And I'm gonna be investigating why, because that's not good. So what happened there is I accidentally clicked my video editing software on my little toolbar, and which then launched the video editing software and the taskbar, task menu, whatever you want to call it. The bar at the top that has icons. And yeah, that just then caused my entire computer to lock up. And OBS in particular, because OBS takes up a lot of memory, CPU and all that good stuff. So it just basically caused everything to bottleneck and just die. Which is not good. Do you know what else is not good? We've apparently been pushing domain. Right, this explains why I was lagging so hard. Yeah, I'm really sorry, gang. I'll see how bad it is when it comes to me editing the video. Maybe this one doesn't make it to YouTube. So we'll need to fix the fact that we've been pushing to main a bit. Whoops. Let's make sure these tests run correctly. But yeah, that explains why my computer just in general has been feeling really sluggish today, but now feels lightning fast. But yeah, this is just an example of why I really need to get a new computer. My 2020 Mac Mini fights, like it does so well for what it is, but it's reaching a point now where my developmental needs, I've just exceeded what it can do. And so just having a background app running is enough to bottleneck it. But again, thank you to everybody who stuck around. I'm really sorry. If things like that happen again in future, definitely let me know, because I can investigate before it gets too bad. But yeah, so we're just going to wait for these tests to run, and then we should be good to continue. Seeing my push. Okay, I don't know if I actually have pushed those. I think I've just committed them. Reynard says they thought it was my end until King Miles said something. Yeah, how tedious. Oh well, we live and we learn. But yeah, before every stream, I have to restart my computer to avoid it just chugging as well. 2020, is that the last Intel Mini or the first? It's the first Silicon Mini. In fact, I can tell you about it. I have 16 gigs of memory and the Apple M1 Silicon chip. So, and then I have a princely 250 gigabytes of onboard hard drive space, which is not enough in this day and age. 250 gigabytes is not. It's insufficient gigabytes, is what it is. Apple is very stingy with storage space. It is a bit, yeah. I do have an external drive, and that's where a lot of my stuff lives on. But yeah, overall, I am just very much struggling with my limited means when it comes to computers. But it won't be forever. I've mentioned previously that all proceeds gained on this stream, so like subscriptions and such, are going directly towards replacing my very old computer. King Mars says they thought it was their connection, but they have another Twitch stream open that was having no trouble. Yeah, no, it was definitely my side. I was using 100% of my CPU. Now I'm using like 33, 50%. But at least I now know what the root cause is, so I can make sure hopefully this won't happen again. And the good thing is we haven't really done anything super interesting. We are going to go now over to Safari so that we can push our changes. Oh no, we're in the void. Let me just take you guys out of the void. There we go. So now what we need to do is we need to go back into IntelliJ and we need to remove the commits that we accidentally committed to main. Whoops. So I think for main, I think I can revert back here and this should get rid. Okay, that didn't get them. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong branch. Jesus fucking Christ. Man, I am just not on the ball today. Okay. So now we're on the right branch. We can hopefully revert back to here. And that will get rid of the commits. There we go. Okay, perfect. Let me head back to mission. And what we're going to do is now going to merge in the transport cost separation. And double check that went in. And it certainly did. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. So now we can come back to wherever the hell we were, which is transport pay. Oh, hey, Big Fluffy followed. Hi, Big Fluffy. I'm glad you could join us. So anybody who isn't aware, Big Fluffy is one of the, I would say, premier streamers of MegaMek content. I believe they stream Thursday evenings. Big Fluffy, if that's not correct, you'll have to let us know. And they similar to Joker, who's the other big MegaMek streamer. Joker streams on Saturdays. They do a multiplayer campaign that is incredibly entertaining, so you guys should definitely check them out. I also see got some other follows that I didn't notice. We have Mano117, thank you for your follow yesterday, and Angry Serb, who followed 2 days ago. Thank you. Mr. Bear, what's up? Mr. Bear is forlorn. Hey, Big Fluffy. New transport cost calculation. So we're going to make a new cost calculation. We need to have a bunch of stuff. So we can easily just copy this across. And this is going to live here. That is their house note. So what it's going to allow us to do is we can pass in a hangar, a list of spare parts, the personnel, and the crew experience level. And this is going to immediately give us the transport cost calculation for that. Cost calculation. So one of the big things that we're wanting to do with the contract overhaul, and this is all a part of, is we're wanting to support you going, okay, I have a battalion, this company's taking this contract, and this company is taking this contract. And so to do that, we can't just have it go, okay, what are all my units from campaign? Let's see. Where is transport cost? We are on... So no, transport cost is just straight up that. So really, we don't need to have a special class just for calculating this because we're just pointing it elsewhere. So let's make ourselves an overclass. We'll call this contract objective A. And let's make it a record. No, because we might change it later. So make it a class for now. And that class is going to hold private final contract objective base pay. And it's also going to hold a money object, private final money transport payment. So base pay is going to equal new contract objective base pay. And we're going to need to add some stuff in there, but that's okay. We need to add in all of this. Oh, I accidentally made it private. Okay, well, we don't need to have that be public, so we'll make it package private. So that gives us our base play, and then we can do this. get base pay. And then we're going to need to have the transport payment. And that is where we're going to come over here. I'm just going to copy this across. And we need to get a couple of other little bits. We also need an array of personnel. We also need to know the crew experience level. Well, for crew experience level, we don't really need to know that because I know we're going to have, because the employer's not going to pay for you to have elite jump crew. So the crew of your jump ship, it's not going to pay for you to have elite. So crew experience level is just going to be regular. EXP regular is what we're looking for. Good, good. Population. Calculate jump cost for entire journey. Aha! So this is where things are going to get interesting, because we don't know where the journey is yet. So let's calculate these individually. I'm just going to add 6 and 6, and it's 2 to do apply real values. So that will give us our transport payment. So I guess we need to verify how many days the journey will be. And for that, we need current location, my location, current location, and then we need my location, destination. And for this, I'm going to try and jump back and see where we're getting. Where are we calling this? So I'm trying to see how we're defining the journey elsewhere. Get total science. We need to have a jump path. Okay. Jump path. Jump path. And this is going to give us the information about how long the path is taking. We need to have the current date, which I do already. We are going to need we're going to need a location. So that's an I location, current location. Which you pass in here. We need to know, are we using the command circuit? Boolean is overriding circuit requirements. Boolean is GM. Because I really don't want to pass campaign into this if we can avoid it, because that's going to get expensive fast. Get faction standings. And lastly, we need to have get future ATB contracts, but I don't know that we do. I think we need to modify this a little bit. We're going to have it accept no. No, let's not have it accept no. What we're going to do, we're going to create an overload, which means a second copy of this that has slightly different workings. So in a second copy, we're going to remove active contracts. There we go. And get rid of the things we don't care about anymore. Determines whether command circuit actions be granted based on the campaign setting GM mode. And contract employer. And GM mode is active. If not, and if any of us. Add some notes. Note. This overload is intended for when evaluating contract without the contract being initialized. So what that allows us to do, we can come back here and rather than having get future contracts, we're just going to add in employer. String employer. Boolean is use command. There we go. Do we want this in its own class? I guess we kind of do. That would make it very neat. And that's very object-oriented programming. And one of the things we can do is just grab all of this dump it here, and then we're just going to remove whatever we're not actually using, which is going to be a lot. That's okay. There we go. Just return that. Static calculate objective transport. And there we go. So does this strictly need to be its own class? Probably not. But by having it as its own class, it will make just makes the code a little bit cleaner. And it also means it's very easy to switch out if we ever need to change. So now we head back to our calculating contract pay. So we have get base pay. We also have transport payment. Oh shit, wrong button. Contract objective transport pay. What's wrong, Mr. Bear? Today, hangar, spare parts, all personnel, current location, jump path, is overriding, is GM, faction standings, where it goes. Radar says Mr. Bear sounds really needy. Did you hear that, Mr. Bear? You sound really needy. I think Mr. Bear needs to go potty, is what I think. So this is a lot. This initializer is a lot. So what we're going to do is once we actually know everything that we need, we're just going to create a record. So we just pass in the one record. Because this is a lot of variables, parameters rather, to add in. Just make them neat. There we go. Okay, so that gives us our base pay, and it gives us our transport payment. What's the next payment? So a length of mission, I'm not too worried about that just yet. The operation tempo is or reputation factor. Support payment, that's the next one. So let's push this. Transport pay. So how do we calculate support pay? So this is on page 44. Support denotes how much of the force's combat operations cost the employer will reimburse above and beyond peacetime operating cost. Support costs include the cost of replacement parts and material as well as outside technical assistance. Customarily, employers offer either straight support or battle loss compensation. The level of support is rolled on the supplemental contract terms table. Under straight support arrangement, the employer agrees to pay a percentage of the command's monthly peacetime operating expenses as a bonus for the... Okay, so that's not really something we need to worry about, actually. So let's go ahead and... head to contract objective pay. So we get the base pay, we get the transport payment, Collect money, get base pay. Do I make this static as well? Here's a question. Does it? I'm starting to question whether this makes sense for. No, I feel like we can, rather than having this in a separate class, I think we can actually just put it all into the one class. Good. Right up here, and then what we need to do is pass calculate. To here. We don't need to store that. We can actually. I see your question there, Little Willie. I'll be with you in just a second. Okay, and that means we no longer need transport, we no longer need base pay, because that's all being wrapped up into contract objective pay. Okay, Little Willie asks, will the second deployed company be a fully controlled contract or abstracted in one way? The intention is that it's going to be a fully controlled contract. So it'd be literally like if you went into MekHQ today and picked 2 contracts out of the pool and said, I'm doing both of these at the same time. Walk through the process. So now that we've got support pay and everything else is basically handled, the next thing we need to do is work out what the what's your word? Consolidated factors. We're actually going to need to worry about real negotiations. So before I jump into real negotiations, we still have 2 hours left on the stream. I am going to step away to take Mr. Bear out for the toilet because I think he wants to go potty. I'll be back in about 10 or so minutes. And I am back. It was a little bit quicker than expected because Tiger decided that she did in fact not want to go outside. How dare I ask her? She is well aware of just how warm it is outside right now, and she's just like, nah, I'm good. Which, to be fair, I really can't blame her. Because I step outside and I'm like, nah, I'm good too. So I can hear Bandit screaming outside the door because he wants to come in. But the thing is, if I let him in, the moment I do, he's going to be started screaming because he wants to go out. Okay, so let's go back to what was this? So determine the mission. We've determined the mission. That's already done. Then we negotiate terms. Okay, so we have 7 payment terms. Base payment. Base payment. Then we have length. Followed by tempo. Employer factor. Reputation factor. Transport costs. And final payment. Double check over everything. I'm on page 40 for those following at home. 7 payment terms, base payment, length, operation tempo, employer factor, reputation factor, transport costs, and final payment. We also have command rights and salvage rights. Command rights and salvage. Come on, rights. There we go. Okay, some of these are... Okay, so some of these are not... Just trying to figure out exactly how this works. This is one of the areas of campaign operations I'm really not a fan of because it's not super clear what exactly you should be doing here. Use the master contract terms and supplemental contract, which is actually on the next page and not below. Roll 2d6 against the appropriate column on the supplemental contract terms table, with the rolls modified by values found on the master contract terms table. I see. Okay, so some of these are static modifiers. So tempo, length seems to be kind of static. How are we handling length? Are you going to tell me? Length mission. Final length for the contract is a major factor in calculating payment and payment for expenses, as it is multiplied by the forced space payment and payment. Final length. Cool. That's that. So campaign options is being classic campaign options, and it's going to tell me a bunch of things, but it's not actually going to tell me how to do those things. It's like, hey, here's the table. The table influences stuff. Great. How? How does it influence stuff? So I suppose we need to separate into contract level and objective level. So base payment is actually objective level because the base payment is going to change based on what objective it is. Does it not? Kind of. Employer factor, that is contract level. Reputation factor is going to be contract level. Transport costs is going to be objective level because that can change based on the location of the objective. Final payment is going to be contract level. Command rights and salvage rights are both going to be final contract level. And tempo is going to be objective level. So command rights, yeah. Salvage rights, yeah. Support rights, we don't have support rights, but support rights will be contractual. And transport terms, again, are going to be contractual. So how much of your transport cost is covered is going to be determined at the contract level, but how much the transport is going to cost will be determined at the objective level. So again, if anybody's unaware, a contract under this new system is an agreement with an employer, and the objective is what you're needing to do. So let's go to our good friend ATB contract type, because I suspect we're going to need to add some things here. Okay. So we have the tempos modifier, but we don't have any of these other modifiers. So let's add them in. Objective, watch IllianiDev stream. You're quite right, youngster, and glad you could join us today. Again, I haven't mentioned this anywhere nearly as much as I should, but anybody who's a subscriber will now have access to 2 brand new emotes. You can find them in the place where emotes live, and you can be subscribed at any level to get access to these. And if you've been watching and you're enjoying yourself, please consider hitting the follow button so you can be notified when we go live. And yeah, if you're particularly enjoying yourself, there's always a subscription option, but never do that unless you can afford it. And terms modifier. Just going to want the salvage terms modifier. The support modifier. And lastly, the transport modifier. Okay, so garrison duty is 1010 1010. It helps if I add these down here as well. Youngsters showing off their array of emotes. got these two. Okay, next we have cargo duty, which is 00100010. Security duty is -3, 0, 2, 1. Riot duty is -2, 1, 2, 0. -2, 1, 2, 0. Planetary assault is -2, 0, 2, 3. Relief duty, -1. Where is it? Lost it. 1, 1, 1. So these are modifiers on the skill check made to negotiate these terms. Guerrilla warfare is -2, 3, -2, and then -1. Pirate hunting. Is 2, 2, -1, and -1. Diversionary raid. I'm sure this is all very riveting. 0, 2, 2, 1. Objective raid. -1, 0, 1, 2. Recon raid. -1, -2, 1, and then lastly -1. These, as I say, these are going to allow us to have differentiation between the different contract types. Oh wow, the youngster has actually got a 25 stream streak and says my consistency has been pretty impressive in terms of not missing any streams. Yeah, I would have liked to have not missed any, but when I was moving, I didn't really have a whole lot of choice. But I'm happy with the consistency we've been getting. Extraction raid, -1, -1, 2, and then 1. And the thing is, I'm here every day. Developing, so it's easy enough to keep the stream schedule when the stream schedule is very much am I in front of my computer, turn on the stream. Assassination is 2, 1, -1, and -3. Espionage is -1, 4, -3, -2. Mole hunting is -3, 0, +2, 1. Observation raid, -1, -2, 1, -1. Retainer is -2, 0, 2, and 1. Sabotage is -1, 4, -3, -2. And Black Ops Insurgency is 2, 1, -1, -3. And last but not least, Undefined is going to be 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Okay. We do have some multipliers though. Let's come back here. How do I want to handle this? I guess like this. Final static. Final private. Final static int. High risk command modifier. This one. Ooh. Salvage modifier. This isn't going to live here, but we're going to add it in here because I want to have it stored somewhere. Tempo. Okay, covert is 0.3 tempo. Command modifier is +1. Salvage modifier is +1. Support modifier is, that makes sense, -1. And transport modifier is -1. We actually have a better way to do this. So, let's make ourselves an enum. Contract negotiations with tempo modifiers. So we're not going to need to bring this in from string because we're not storing these values. And we're going to need, are we going to need anything? And we're not going to need a lookup name here. We're not going to need a label. What we are going to need is private final double tempo modifier. Multiplier. Is it modifier? Yes, multiplier. Private final int command modifier. So if we store these all in a enum, it's going to be very, very easy for us to get access to them. Okay. I just need to add these to the constructor. Command, salvage, support. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Vector. What do we call this next one? Employer oversight controlling. Era 367. See, this is an area where if I trusted the AI, I could have it scan the page and input the values, but I do not trust the AI not to cock it up. Okay. So covert is 0.5 on the tempo multiplier, -1 command, -2 salvage, 1 support, 0 transport. Covert is 0.3 tempo, 1 command modifier, 1 salvage modifier, -1 support, and -1 transport. We head over to the superpowers. Superpower has a 0.3 multiplier, 0 command, 0 salvage, +1 support, +2 on the transport. Major power is 1.2, which is interesting because it means that getting employed by a superpower means you're actually going to have longer contracts, which I think is really interesting. I guess because they can afford to have you for longer. Major power is 0 command, -1 salvage, 0 support, and +1 of the transport. A minor power, so 1.1 multiplier with 0 command, -2 salvage, 0 support, and 0 transport. An independent world has a 1.0 multiplier, 0 command, -1 salvage, -1 support, and the transport. Mercenary or corporation is slightly longer, with -1 command, more salvage, more support, and more transport. Typical generosity is going to be 0 across the board. We can actually rename this. We're going to call it employer typical. We'll just call it typical. This will be the catch-all. Typical, no modifiers. However, a stingy employer is going to actually employ you for less, so I guess means less money. Oh no, this is the employment modifier, not the tempo modifier. I do apologize. Easily fixed. Hey King Mo, glad you're enjoying your emotes. I know these are actually different, but we're going to leave them as tempo for now, and we're going to go ahead and create two enums, I think. Potentially 3, actually. Originally, I wasn't intending to change these enums, but I think we're gonna. So stingy is -2 on pay, with a 0, -1, -1, and -1. Whereas a generous employer is going to offer you more pay. Command rights stay the same, but yet more salvage, more support, and more transport. A controlling employer doesn't modify pay, so that's at 0, but that should actually probably be 1.0. We'll leave it at 0 for now, and then we can come back and check that. No, that has to be 1.0. Controlling is going to be -2 on command, -1 salvage, 0 on everything else. A lenient employer, 1.0 on the multiplier, more control, more salvage, support. Before the succession wars, you're going to lose salvage. And if we're before the clan wars, we are going to lose salvage again. Which doesn't make sense because both those are exactly the same. So we're now going to head over to the PDFs and just verify that those numbers haven't changed. Because I suspect they might have. So bear with me, I'm just heading over to my Dropbox. And while I'm grabbing this file, if you are enjoying yourself, please consider hitting the follow button so you can get notified when we go live. Where is revised 5th edition? There we are. So let me see, I'm just jumping to the right page. Skippity skip. No, even on the revised 5th edition, they are exactly the same. Interesting. Oh well. So unit rating. It's a -2 on command, -1 salvage, -1 support, and -3 transport if you have nothing. Then it becomes -1, -1, -1, -2, -1, and then 0, 0, -2, -1, 0, 0, -1. 4 is 0 for everything except final, which is -1. So this represents your unit's rating and how well regarded you are. 5 is going to be zeros across the board. 6 is 1, 1, 0, 0. 7 is exactly the same. 1, 1, 0, 0. 8 is going to be 1s for everything except transport. Sorry, 1 support. No, I put these mucks up. No, this is correct. Ignore me. I'm being dumb. 9 is 2, 2, 1, 1. And lastly, 10 plus is 3, 2, 2, and 2. Okay, so what do we want to do here? We want to split this enum into 3. So we're going to take that, we're going to copy it, and the second one we're going to call employer negotiations modifier. I'm going to get rid of this. It gives us all our employer stuff. I'm going to copy it and we're going to go unit reputation negotiation. Just going to get rid of all of these. And get rid of tempo. And lastly but not least, we have employee negotiation modifier. We have, so we're going to call this special. Special negotiations modifier. And this, unfortunately, is just 2 items. But this allows us to separate it out nicely. We have our employer notifications, and this is going to be employer multiplier. Special is still tempo, but unit reputation is also changed to, oh, it has none of those. That's perfect. Okay, so this gives us our modifiers. Our next objective is going to be to create the negotiations table. Negotiation tables. We have command rights. We have salvage rights, support rights, and then transport rights. I'm going to be public, probably a, there might be a command. Contract command rights, perfect. Get command rights. Okay, so pass in the private command rights role. So first up, we need 2d6 roll. So int roll equals d6 2. Then we're going to need to add all of the relevant modifiers. So for that, we need to determine what modifiers are being applied. So let's start with employee negotiations modifiers. So we need to know if it is a public static int guess another enum wouldn't hurt. We're getting a lot of enums for this, and we're just going to call this negotiation. That is tempo multiplier, employment employment multiplier, command, modifier, salvage, and transport. Yep, so that is all of them. So we come over here and we go get negotiations modifier. We don't want it to be static because we want it to apply to a specific. I guess it can be static. Action employer. Let's create a record. Negotiations modifier data. That's going to be very, very similar to type because we only want to generate this one. So what we want to do is we want to pass in the faction and then get all the information back out. So we need for that, we need a double tempo multiplier. We need a double employment multiplier. We need an int command modifier, int salvage modifier, int support modifier, and int transport modifier. And it would help if I put all of these in the right place. Okay, so we head back over to our modifiers. And we're going to instead pass in employer. We need to find out what modifiers apply. So I guess we do for modifier and values. And I'm going to do a switch. Switch modifier. Let's change this to just being multiplier. Double multiplier. I see now why these are zeros. It's because these are additive. So first you find out if it's a superpower, major power, minor power, and dependent world. And then you, or mercenary or corporation, and then you apply these other ones on top. I don't think we want to use a switch here, actually thinking about it. So we've got 3 categories. We have employer type, employer, and we have employer generosity, employer oversight, and then era. Red says they hate being out of AC5 ammo. Yeah, that's up there with running out of SRM or LRM ammo. So employer multiplier, then we have command, modifier, salvage, support, transport. Okay, so first we need to find out the type. So that's going to be most likely a... Let's switch this over. I want to be able to view the top as well. If, so we need tags, faction, tags equal employer, get tags. Give me my tags. Have a look. What even method is that? Is set. Actually, no. I don't need access to the tags because I can just do this. If employer is superpower, I'm going to do one thing. Else, if employer is a major power, else if employer is minor, else if employer is independent, else if employer is mercenary or corporation. We have the default. Now this is going to create a lot of boilerplate, but we are going to take away the boilerplate in a bit. Because what we're going to do, we're going to create a method that just takes in just the enum and then does all of this. And lastly, more or less, mercenary or corporation. Okay, so now let's create our utility method. I'm going to call it apply negotiation modifiers. Interesting. So I was expecting it to come back to me and ask, oh yeah, negotiation modifier. Oh yeah. Entry. This is what I expected it to do. I'm surprised it didn't. But hey ho. So that gives us our employer type. Next up is employer generosity. If employer is generous, else if employer is stingy. Is there any more that we need to worry about? Nope, but now we have employee oversight. If employer is controlling. Else if employer is lenient. And lastly, we need the era, which I need to verify. I can't quite remember how to get this. So era get Why do we have so many classes called era? I'm basically trying to find the right class. They're all called era. Not helpful. I'm guessing this is the one we're looking for. Era is the young says we need to throw in a few epochs. When are we kicking off the clan invasion? In codes, at least. Era, get flags. But what kind of era? This is the... Okay, so we just need to get flags. Era flags equal era get flags. And sorry, youngster, I know when the invasion started. It's more trying to get MekHQ to find out how MekHQ can know when the invasion started. Yeah, it's as Heckendoc says, and hey Heckendoc, glad you could join us. I took some inspiration from your stream, and now subscribers get emotes. Whee! Okay, so we're back to using the wrong type of era. God damn it. Okay, I will say King Mal has a cooler emote. Like, how did you give sunglasses to Clan Ghost Bear? How did you do that? Oh, it's a points thing. I see. This is a terrible way to do it. Like, how the hell do I tell if the clan invasion's happened yet? Fuck it. We are just gonna go and do this the easy way. Int, yeah. If year wait, really? We're considering clan invasion? Oh, that's when it ends. Okay. So we need early succession wars. We're checking if it's before. Sounds like there might be data improve. Yeah, probably. But I don't think it's necessarily that the enum needs to be updated. I think it's more a case that the how we're handling eras is very wonky and old. It's not necessarily anything that's actually wrong. It's just an awkward way to handle it. Does it mean, when it says post-clan invasion, does it mean after the clan invasion? I guess so. Okay, so that gives us our pre-succession wars and post-clan invasion stuff. We then go ahead and close all these things that we don't care about anymore. Goodbye. Return, new negotiations, modifier data. It's going to be employment multiplier, command, salvage, support, transport. So this allows us to input a employer and a year, and we're going to get all of the modifier data that we need. We can break this out even nicer. Get era modifiers. Get oversight modifiers. And of course, oh no, we've got one more. Get generosity modifiers. And actually, lastly, get faction. And see how much more readable the code gets just from moving these blocks of code into their own utility methods. And that's why sometimes if you ever put code in and I say, hey, can we break this down into a utility method? That's basically what I'm asking, because now as a developer, I can go, okay, get negotiation modifier, get factions, generosity, oversight, era, poop back out. Okay, I now know exactly what this does without needing to trawl through all of this code. Okay. So that gives us our employer negotiation modifiers. However, those aren't the only negotiation modifiers we can need. So let's just grab this, because now we're going to go to special negotiations. And here we're going to want high risk and covert. So these are just booleans. Is high risk, boolean is covert. If it's high risk, we're going to want to fire this off. Actually, we're going to want to fire this off, beg your pardon, copying the wrong thing. Similar for covert. This is going to be a tempo multiplier. There we are. We're going to be following a similar pattern. It says we're not using those here, but we are. Really should be. No, have I cocked it up? I think I've cocked it up because this is going to create new instances of it. It's not passing in the existing one. Okay, let's go back to the drawing board. How do we want to do this? So I suppose if I do this down here instead, and then we have modifier entry. Okay, because this can actually end up as null. So, if it doesn't equal null, okay, so that works here at least. Okay, oversight. Nah, this is terrible. What if we created a utility class? What if we created a utility class whose job it is to process all this? So what we're going to do, we're going to have a utility class that, rather than passing around all these values, we're just going to pass around this utility class. Now, this utility class can't be a record because we're going to be modifying it. So we have an empty constructor, and then we're going to have public. We might need to specify something other than private, but I think we can get away with private here. Might need to be protected, but private. Order. Private void set tempo. No, we can just add. Modify tempo multiplier. And it's going to be a double delta. We just go tempo multiplier delta. We don't want these to be final. I'm essentially going to do this for all of them. Do we need the record anymore? Do we not just, maybe we just pass these around? Yeah, I wonder if we might not actually need the record anymore. Because I think this actually supersedes the, sort of replaces the record. So what we're going to do is, rather than defining this class here, we're going to go over to negotiations modified data. And we're going to change it from being a record being a class, and we only want it accessible within this right now. This does mean we need to get some getters. So, private double get. And all these privates are now going to need to be removed. So we're going to remove all the privates. You could get your cheap chuckle there. And by removing this, we're saying this is only accessible from classes within this package. So how do we access this? So let's go back to our negotiations table, employee negotiation modifier. So what we do is we know we need employer. Back. We need employer. Right. Employee negotiations modifiers. Yeah. So we also need to pass in a instance of employer negotiations modifier. No negotiations modifiers data. Modifier data. Alright then. Okay, so the modifier data now holds everything that we need. This is actually going to return void now. So what this now becomes is, rather than, so we're going to pass in the employer, we're going to pass in modifier data. So we no longer need all of this back because now it's all living inside modifier data. And likewise here, this little utility class method even, I have a terrible habit of accidentally calling in utility methods utility classes, but they're not classes, they're methods. And this is how it all changes. So what was previously passing around these, which was a mistake, we're now going to modify data, modify tempo multiplier. We add that in. And that now does exactly the same as it did before, but now it works, which makes it significantly better. Hey Hammer, glad you could join us. So now we do need to go back and update all of these. That's okay, because what we've got now is significantly better than what we had before. And as a program, we don't mind redoing our work if it means the end result is going to be better. And we no longer need to return this. We're going to investigate what that squiggly line is in a minute. It's probably telling us that we're accessing it outside of where we should, which is true. And if that is the case, I mean, we can make it all public. It's not a huge issue. Oh, Hannah says, when you have a second to spare, and with your permission, I have something to tease, but only here. Okay, well, give me a second. Let me finish tidying this up, and then I will absolutely be interested in whatever you want to share. Check your DMs for 2 screenshots. Ooh, okay. Let me boot up Discord. So Hammer's been busy working with their AI best friend. Okay, I think I'm going to switch over to Discord, but I do think Hammer's going to have to explain what we're looking at. So let's go over to Discord. We're in the void, so bear with me. But I haven't even seen what Hammer's showing me here before, so I'm curious to see what's going on. So we have the lobby screen that we all know and love. And if we click here, looks like a new victory option setup. 50% plus enemy BV destroyed by princess and enemy commanders destroyed by princess or control blah by hammer. So is this hammer? Is this a new victory condition setup? Are you going to give me some cool victory conditions I can work with? Screenshot 1. Notice the change to the lobby on the left. Okay. Oh, victory conditions. I see. And so is this gonna open the door for us to be able to pass victory conditions to MegaMek from MekHQ, so that players are no longer having to remember? Oh, it is. Okay, cool. And don't worry, before anybody starts hammering away, we will make it optional. I know some people don't like the scenario to end as soon as the victory conditions are met. Check the list on shot 2. Skip all base victories in. Oh, yeah, I see. Top box. Ah, I see. So this looks like the victory conditions. Bottom 1 is the list. I see. So this is very, very similar to the unit filters under victory points. Victory points. Where are we seeing victory points? Sensor scans. Oh, I see. Sensor scan. Okay. Oh, no, sorry. You have to forgive me. It's been a long stream. I see. Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Oh, I can do things with this, chat. I can do naughty things with this. Oh, this is very interesting to me, because it means that we can finally have scenarios that aren't just shoot everything. Now, the question I have for you, Hammer, is sensor scan missions. Does Princess know how to scan, or is this going to be a player only thing? She could be trained. Okay. And is there any kind of UI to show what opposing forces still need to be scanned, or not yet? Okay. I like the word "yet" here, because I can definitely see this being very, very interesting, very, very cool, and I'd be happy to set up the MekHQ side of things so that our scenarios know what their objectives are, because the current scenario stuff is really crunchy. Yeah, this is really cool. Good work, Hammer. Okay, let's head back over to IntelliJ. But the ability to select text on the map, this is very cool. Genuinely cool, Hammer. I'm really excited to play with that. Thanks for letting me share that. No, thank you. That's very interesting. Where were we? Oh, that's right. Not planning to share on Discord for a bit? That makes sense. You want to make sure it's what's the word? Come on, brain. It's in a showable state. Whereas this stream, people are very much coming here to see stuff in a not necessarily showable state. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there we go. It's saying it's exposed outside its own visible state. That's okay. So what it's saying is that it should be public. And I have no compunctions about that. These, however, probably should be private. There we go. Okay, so that gives us our model that we can now take to use in the other classes, like this one over here. So essentially, we're getting rid of this and replacing all of that with this. How's the coding going? It's going a lot better now that I am actually able to start working on this stuff rather than... Because it's a very much a chicken and the egg scenario where so much of the contract system requires other parts of the contract system. And so we're just trying to find like good entry points and little by little building up what we need. So here, no, I think that makes sense. We're using a single modifier data object makes sense. Special. Tempo. Here's something that we actually do need to go back in and change. So tempo multiplier and employment multiplier are not the same thing. Employment. Because if we're going to use the same object, we need to make sure that we are tempo becomes what? We want to match the capitalization. There we go. That's all we need to do. Okay, so that's that all taken care of. And we're no longer returning anything here. So it's void. Unit reputation, there's the last one we need. Okay, and here it's going to be a switch. We need an integer, which is reputation rating. Then we need our modifier data. And we need to clamp it, so integer clamped rating equals clamp reputation rating, and we're clamping it to 0 and 10. And now we just go switch, clamped rating. Case is going to be 0. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 8, 9, 10. Let's go for modifier entry. Move this over to the right so we can just copy paste across. Oh, we've got a bot. Shoo shoo. No, thank you. Heckin Doc says they go away for 5 minutes to watch baby levels and miss a tease. I can tell you it's a pretty cool one. Hammer is showing off new objective system for MekHQ so that we can actually tell MegaMek, hey, these are the scenario objectives. End the scenario when these objectives are met. Rather than right now where it's entirely player adjudicated. We have it. Sorted. Big old drinky drink. So now what we have is we have a way to get all the modifiers for a negotiation. That doesn't particularly put us in a very... Right, it kind of does. Basically, it now means we can go, okay, right, I need to get my negotiation tables, what are my modifiers? I will say it is 4:4, so I think I'm going to, rather than starting something new, we're actually going to delete this class. And we're going to go ahead and commit our enums for days. And we've done a lot. We have done a lot today. Why are you throwing an error? Unexpected token? Did I forget to close something? Global employer table value. Oh! Whoopsie doodles. Actually, that's something we can do. Let's go ahead and make sure that we have our legal statements at the top of all these classes. That is a 5-second thing that we can do, and it will save us hassle later. Because if you try and running tests while you don't have a legal statement, the tests will automatically fail. And you don't want to be at a point where you're pushing to main and only then discover that you forgot all the legal statements. But yeah, so I think right now we are drawing to the end of the stream. All I'm doing is going through and pasting legal statements. Tonight I'm going to make myself pizza. Nom, 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 nom. If you have enjoyed the stream today, please consider hitting the follow button so you can be notified of when we go live. If you particularly enjoyed yourself, then there is always the... Oh, piss off. There is always a subscribe button, but I never want anybody to feel like they have to subscribe. It's very much a case of if you want to and if you can afford to. All funds are going towards buying me a new computer so I have an easier time of developing. And if you're over on YouTube, first of all, hit the subscribe and the bell. And if you happen to be around and we're streaming, consider joining us. We're more than happy to have you. When do we stream? We stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, not Wednesday. That's my day off. Friday. And of course, Friday, we have the morning stream. And then we have the very exciting Adventures of the Scrotorious Bastards, a Rasselhag house unit in Friday's evening, who are just over 3 years away from the start of the clan invasion. But really, I feel like at this point, I did legal statements. I do think we are coming to an end of today's stream. So please, consider joining us. If you are a subscriber, you will now have 2 new emotes, sexy emotes, one for the Rasselhague Republic and one for the evil clan Ghost Bear. Boo, boo, hiss. Also, if you want to hang out after stream, there is the Discord. You'll find a link in the place where links live. And on the Discord, we hang out, we joke around, we share our victories and our defeats, and every now and then I'll be putting out polls asking you, the audience, what you want to see on the Adventures of the Scritorious Masters. Right now, there is a poll active asking, should we turn on stack polling for the Scritorious Masters campaign? So if you have an opinion on whether you want to see stack polling, massive big explosions happening in the Friday night stream, head over to Discord, vote away, let us know. But until then, I will have to love you and all and leave you. May all your hits be crits, and remember, spend some time with your family, and if you don't want to spend time with your family, you can make one in MekHQ. Good night, everybody. Toodles!